Hey, what's up guys? Kriscoart here for Kriscoart. It's going to be a little rushed today just because I have to run to a few meetings. That's why my hair's a little wet and I just got out of the shower. But I want to get this video out to you guys because I think that in this breakdown, there's a few interesting things that you can apply for your own videos, especially for this Halloween. So this is another video that I did with Inanna, but this time I just edited and did the visual effects, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff that went into this that I think you guys will enjoy. But of course, go watch the main video. The full video is on her channel, and it's pretty great, pretty spooky, with a very cool twist. So definitely a good watch. But what we're gonna break down specifically for this video, we're gonna start off with the mirror crack because I thought that's something that it's just a new effect that I never really did before. But then as a bonus, we're also going to review some of these shots that have some visual effects, some that are a little bit more obvious, some that are a little bit more hidden, and again, very simple stuff, but I'll save those for the end of the video. So for right now, let's jump in and let's see how we can make a mirror crack on its own in After Effects. Okay, so let's break down this mirror effect. Now, this is my composition open right here. You can see that there's just a bunch of duplicate copies of the footage, and that's really most of how this effect is done. So let me show you real quick. So this is our original clip, just our regular footage, and let me just show you what that looks like. That's it right there. No snow, no cracks, nothing going on so far. So this is the point in time right where it cracks, so I can show you a little bit of what went into this effect. So I just copied the footage, duplicated a bunch of times, 1, 2, 3 times, and you can see as I'm clicking through this, there's these masks that are applied to each one of these duplicate copies of the footage. And essentially what this is doing is it's kind of imitating the cracks, and you can see that it's following this this texture. That's this guy right here. So this is sort of like a mirror glass crack texture. And you can see that these masks that I apply to all these duplicate copies of the footage are just following those shapes that are from that texture that I applied. So let's talk about the texture itself. You can see over here I have the mask property expanded, and the only reason why I applied this mask is because if I delete it, it's just a square texture, you know, so I'm trying to get rid of some of those hard edges, and that's why I applied this mask to kind of, you know, randomize the edges a bit to make it seem more like a crack. But that's not the only thing that this mask is doing. You can see that there's a few keyframes, 2 keyframes right here, and that is if I hit U on my keyboard to reveal any keyframes associated with that layer, you can see that the mask expansion of that mask has some keyframes. So let me show you what that is doing. I'm going to go frame by frame. You can see that the mask is pretty much growing. So that's what a mask expansion is. It's expanding that mask using that same shape so that these cracks kind of are spreading out and appearing from the center instead of either scaling up or, you know, just fading in. Just gives a little bit more of realism. It's only a few frames, but you definitely want to have something there just to sell that expansion of those cracks kind of like traveling through the mirror. Now, another thing that's happening right here that's very subtle is this smoke puff. It's just an asset from Action Essentials. It's a powder hit 6, if you want to know, and it's just to sort of just glue this effect together, add more of that initial impact to really highlight that cracking moment. Of course, this is sped up a little bit, and it has a tint effect just to make sure it's matching with my footage nicely. And that's pretty much it. I can show you a little bit of what else is in this composition, just because this is a nice little trick that you can use for not just mirror cracks, but really anything. So let's focus in on these layers right here. Now we're moving past the mirror crack effect. This is just something else that I did to make sure that the snow was falling in front of her as well as behind her, so it didn't just look like I slapped an overlay over the footage. Now, instead of rotoscoping her, which would have taken, you know, a long time, and if you can avoid rotoscoping, do it. What I did is I applied let me just turn this layer on so you can see what this is. I applied a linear color key. And when I applied this color key, I essentially selected a sort of neutral color. So let me turn this off. Yeah, I selected sort of these walls. So this kind of beige gray color, which is slightly different from really anything else that our subject has as far as color. So her skin tone is different, her hair is different, her t-shirt is different. So this does a nice job at isolating everything else but our subject. If I turn this effect back on, if you just apply it, you could be looking at final output, which is what you don't want because you're not interested in keying her out. All we want to do is create a luma matte. So I'm going to select matte only. So we're only looking at the black and white information of essentially black is what's being keyed out and white is what's being left in. And we're using this as a luma matte for our snow layer. So now you can see that I selected luma inverted matte. And essentially the reason why it's inverted is because we don't want the snow to be inside of what is opaque, but we want it to be inside of what's transparent. So the black in this case is what we're telling the snow layer to fill in. So once we turn this luma layer off, because we don't need to see it, you can see that now this layer of snow, of course, with a few extra masks just to make sure that we're not seeing the snow outside of the mirror frame. But you can see that if I move this around, you can kind of see how it's going behind her, you know, and this isn't perfect, but for something quick and easy like this, for snow layers, which you can't really tell where they're falling anyways, you know, this is a nice step to at least make sure that some of them are going behind her. And then of course we have some of these foreground snow layers with some camera lens blur applied in the foreground. So there's a little bit of this going on, and then, you know, some snow in the back. Why is there snow in a bathroom? Well, you have to go see the short to really figure out why. It's on her channel, so I'll link it in the description. But that's the mirror effect. Now, as promised, I want to move on to a few extra visual effects shots that were in this short very quickly, because I've covered some of these ideas in some of the past tutorials that I'll also link, but I just want to show you how I applied those ideas to this specific project. So let's jump into Premiere actually. So there we go. This is our timeline. I always like showing timelines. I think that's always interesting to see. Let me just zoom out. So this is the entire short. You can see a lot of sound design went into this, just because, you know, with horror, that's kind of the most fun that you can have in an edit is just, you know, aside from visual effects and gory stuff, is the sound design. I love bringing out some of those atmospheric elements and ideas that are in the story more to the front, more to life with some sounds. And I don't know, do you guys want me to do a breakdown of the sounds for this? Let me know. Go watch the short. You know, if you like some of the ideas that are going on sound wise, then I'll maybe make a follow-up video to this. But for now, let's look at the visual side. So let's go to the top here. We're falling on a shot that I think is pretty interesting to break down, because this follows some of my favorite ideas of not needing, you know, a huge light kit with a bunch of lights in a scene to light it and make it look cinematic. Sometimes you can use a little bit of post help to make things feel a little bit more dimensional, just nicer to look at. But of course, if you have the way to do it on set, do it that way. But this is for some really low budget stuff, some run and gun stuff. You know, if you want to make it look a little bit better, you have some tools available to you in post with After Effects. So let me just let me toggle this off. This is the original clip. Quite a difference. Everything is evenly lit. You're losing that atmosphere. It's not, there's no tension in this shot. Like, I'm seeing everything. So the reason why I applied these sort of lights and this shaft of light and darkening everything else is to dial in the focus on her, while also kind of you know, not really knowing what's beyond this this door where we're standing in. You know, what's past this, what's out of her line of sight. So these are all things that you can communicate with your lighting. So you can see that we have some snow trailing off from the bathroom going into this other room with some snow elements on the ground. This is just tracked into the scene, placed on the ground, and then the snow elements, I just I added a mask. You know what, this makes more sense if I just delete these masks and show you. So there we go. You can see that now this is spilling to everywhere in the doorway, and we don't want that. So by applying those masks, we're making sure that it's contained from this room and going out this way. And what this mask is doing is it's pretty much just making it falling off in this sort of direction. Without this mask, it's still kind of going everywhere here, and we really don't want that. We kind of want it directional to also follow this sort of fake volumetric light. So that's what that second mask is doing. And the first one is not really feathered because it's following some hard edges. You know, you could probably feather it by like 2 or something like that, not too much. And then the other one is feathered quite a bit because we want a little bit of fall off for those snow elements. And you can see that I did the same sort of idea with this linear color key effect. This is just to allow some of the reflections and her feet to be above the snow layer. So you can see that there's so many different applications for that technique, so that you don't have to rotoscope every single time. That's something that, you know, if you can avoid it and save some time, do it. Now, this layer right here, this dark royal blue solid, is what's darkening these edges. So if I turn that off, you can see that those peripherals, that doorway, that door, and the walls are pretty evenly lit. We don't want that. So I want you to notice that this solid isn't a black solid. Now, this is something I've stressed in the past before. Make sure that you're actually staying true to the colors that are present in your scene. So let me just show you real quick. If I were to create a new solid, and I know that I am, you know, I want this solid to be for my shadows, I'm gonna select this color pick whip, and I'm gonna go to the darkest area in my shot. So in this case, it could be this, could be that, maybe this. I'm gonna select that, and then from this color, you know, I can make that a little bit darker, but I'm staying in line with the hue of that color. I'm not going to pitch black, and, you know, I'm not shifting it to any other color. And this is important to do because most of the times your shadows in your scene aren't fully black. You know, they're always gonna have some tint to it. They're always not gonna be, you know, completely dark. So color-wise and shade-wise, it's just an easy thing to just pick it from what's already in your scene, and then you can have something that will fit nicely. So this, of course, has a mask with a bunch of feathering to it. And moving right along, we have the Ambience Volumetric, which is just an adjustment layer with a brightness and contrast effect. We have these masks applied. You can see that right now I'm blocking this effect from going beyond the doorway, and this is more of like a subtle one. This is just to brighten up this area and maybe a little bit of the door. You see that this mask curves a little bit because if we're having a source of light that is from that doorway, that door would be catching a little bit of that light. You know, the techniques behind this are very simple. It's just masks, solids, and adjustment layers, and I've done a full tutorial of how to do these step by step. But really, it's really simple, but you have to really think about how light behaves and how it would make sense for your story in that scene. So of course we have another adjustment layer with another brightness and contrast, and you can see that I'm just applying all these different copies of them, and then this one is just to bring her out, make her pop a little bit more. You can see that if I turn it off, she's a little dark. Turn it on, it's almost like we're getting a little bit of fill on her, and that's it. That's how you do some of these shots, and you can see some of the same ideas applied to this shot right here, where you know, before everything, again, the problem was it's just evenly lit. We're seeing everything. There's no tension, but now if you make it moodier, and you know, it feels a little bit more creepy. It feels a lot more cinematic and more engaging. And I had to do that for a lot of the shots, and yeah. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. The snow effects, most of them are overlays, or other times when they have to fall behind her, they have masks. She's been rotoscoped, or she had that linear color key sort of technique that I showed you before. And that's pretty much it. Those are the main effects that went into this. Also for this guy, just to make him a little bit creepier here in the end, I just applied just a black solid, not fully black, but, you know, following the shade of the blacks in that scene, and I essentially masked out his face and I tracked it on there just to make sure that we're not seeing a human face. We don't know what this thing is. It feels a lot more otherworldly and creepy if we're not seeing a human face. So those are some of the main ideas that went into the VFX for this. It was a lot of fun. I really love getting a project and kind of like polishing it off and making it feel, just elevating it with just a few simple techniques. If you want more breakdowns like this, even more this like casual way of just going over what I did for a specific project, let me know, because I'm thinking of doing a lot more of this. And to be honest, I've been slowing down a bit on this channel because I've been having a lot of client work, because YouTube isn't just the only thing I do. Mainly I work out in LA as a freelancer, you know, so I do music videos, I do just DP, direct, and edit a bunch of stuff. So I definitely want to start incorporating some of that onto the channel and show you more real, you know, set experiences and real editing of timelines for actual projects. So let me know if you're excited about all of that, and hopefully you will enjoy what's to come. There's definitely a lot of big projects. I can't wait to share them with you. Also, before I go, I want to mention that I released a mega texture pack for free on my VIP email list. So if you're interested in getting it, I already sent out an email, but there were a few people late. So what I'm going to do is by the end of today or maybe tomorrow, so if you're watching this video, go sign up now, because by tomorrow I'm going to send out another email, just to make sure that everyone got the pack. It's a bunch of stuff for free, a lot of textures that you can use for motion graphics, for Photoshop, whatever, and even in videos for backgrounds or whatever you can think of. I don't know, use it for anything really. There's no limits, there's no copyright, it's just yours to have. It was my gift to you for my birthday, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. And my name is Chris Trini for Kriscoart, and I will see you next time.